and also you remember the previous sessions which we had on the kidney, that is structure of neuron and also the functions of neurons. So in the previous class we have studied about the kidney, right? So we have studied about the kidney, okay, we have studied the internal structures of the kidney, okay, and also we have studied about the the structure of the nephron and all, which are there in the kidneys, right, which are there in the kidneys. Okay, so we have also seen the structure of the nephron and also the parts of the nephron, like Bowman's capsule, okay, a proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule, Henle, loop of Henle, and also the collecting tubule. So apart from all these things, right, so now we are going to learn the other parts of the renal system. So we have learned about the kidney and also we have learned about the structure of the nephron. And now what we'll do is we'll try to see a few points about these structures, which are long structures, and these structures are called as the ureters. These are called as the ureters, right? And these are called as ureters. Now these are white in color. These are white in color, so whitish in color, and moreover they are the narrow tubes. Okay, they are not very broad tubes and all, no, like they are the narrow tubes. And then the next feature of these tubes is that these are distensible. Distensible in the sense they are able to stretch. They are able to stretch, so they can stretch. That's why we call them as distensible. Okay, the first is they are white in color, they are the narrow tube-like structures, and also they are distensible, that is, they are able to stretch. And then these are made up of muscles, right? If they are able to stretch, that means they are made up of muscles, right? So these are the muscular tube-like structures which are able to stretch. And now if you see the size of this, it is around 30 centimeters in length. Okay, the length of these tubes is around 30 centimeters. And then the way, the place where they come out from the kidney is called as the hilus. Already we have talked about this word called as hilus. So hilus is a place where the ureters comes out of the kidney, right? Whatever the urine which is secreted by the kidney, they are actually sent into the pelvis, and pelvis will continue as the ureter. So the place where it's coming out is called as the hilus. Okay, and the urine will not directly come as it is coming in a pipe or the water pipe or a pump. So they will also take the peristaltic movements, right? The process of peristalsis will also happen here. The urine which is formed in the kidney will come out in the form of the peristalsis movement, and this peristalsis movement we basically see in the esophagus, isn't it? We basically see this peristalsis in the esophagus, right? So these are the points of the ureters, right? They are whitish in color, they are narrow, they are distensible, they are able to stretch, they are muscular tube-like structures. Because they are muscular tube-like structures, they are able to stretch, and the size is around 30 centimeters, and also they come out from the hilus. And then the moment the urine formed, which is formed in the kidneys and all, that goes out from the ureters like this, and that comes in the form of peristalsis, right? They come in the form of peristalsis, so they travel in the form of peristalsis. And peristalsis example we've already seen in the esophagus. So this is about the ureters. Okay, children, so now we'll talk something about the urethra also. We'll talk about the we'll go ahead with the urinary bladder. Okay, this is one of the ureter, and the other one also enters into the ureter through the another kidney which is on the other side. So both the ureters come into the urinary bladder. So this structure which I have drawn here, the pear-shaped structure. Okay, this is the pear-shaped structure. Okay, it is a like the pear shaped structure, and also it is distensible in nature. Okay, what is distensible? That is already we have known that it is nothing but the stretch, isn't it? So from the it comes out in the from the pelvis part of the abdomen region. Okay, it starts from the abdomen region. Okay, that is at the pelvis part, right? Exactly just below the abdomen. Okay, now what does this urinary bladder do? What is the major function of the urinary bladder? So what do the ureters are bringing the urine and all, no, right? That will travel through the ureters with this movement which is called as the peristalsis movement, and then it enters into the urinary bladder. So urinary bladder basically is what it is doing is it is collecting the urine which is coming out from the both kidneys through the ureters. So the both ureters will bring the urine into the urinary bladder, and that urine is collected by whom? Urinary bladder. So here the urinary bladder becomes a a storage point. It becomes a a storage point. Otherwise, you can say temporarily stored. Temporarily stored in the urinary bladder before it is excreted. Okay, that is the functions of the urinary bladder. Okay, so the next one is the urethra. Okay, the external openings, like the opening through which the urine comes out is called as the urethra. It is called as the urethra. Okay, so urethra is a tube-like structure which takes this. Okay, it's a tube-like structure here which takes this urine outside the body. It is the one which is taking place, the urine outside the body. Okay, and this urethra, it is guarded by two different sphincters, right? So now here already we have seen what are the sphincters. In the digestive system, we have come across a word called as the sphincters, isn't it? So here this was the stomach and this was the duodenum, and here there was a sphincter which was not allowing the food to go into the small intestine as a whole. So it was stopped by some sphincter, and only little amount of food is always allowed in regular intervals into the small intestine. So that is what we called it as a sphincter. So here also in the urinary bladder also here, okay, urinary bladder also here, there are two sphincters here. Okay, there are two sphincters here. Okay, one sphincter is called, the first one is called as the internal sphincter. It's called as the internal sphincter, which is like this. Okay, now it's a pair of sphincters, right? Internal sphincters. There are two internal sphincters like this. Okay, and then there are two external sphincters also. External sphincters also like this. There are two external sphincters also like this. So how many sphincters are there here? These are the external sphincters. Okay, a pair of external sphincters, and these are the two internal sphincters, right? A pair of internal sphincters, one and the two. So these are two called as the internal sphincters. Okay, so now here, and one more thing here is urethra in the females, it is around 4 centimeters long. It is 4 centimeters long, but whereas in the same, the urethra here in the males is around 20 centimeters long. So in females it is 4 centimeters long, and in the males it is 20 centimeters long. Okay, whereas now if you see in the females, it is a completely a separate structure here. Okay, and whereas in the males, this urethra is a continuous, along with the reproductive tract. Reproductive part in the males, right? So it is, you can say it is a common with the reproductive tract in the males, and that is the reason why we call it as the urinogenital duct. Urinogenital duct. So that means the same organ is used to pass the urine and also the same organ is used to pass the sperms. So the urine and sperms are passed out to the same organ. That's why we call it as the urinogenital duct. So here the urethra in the males is around 20 centimeters long. Okay, and also it's a passage right now along with the reproductive tract. Whereas in the females it is a separate structure. Okay, just to pass the urine outside from the urinary bladder. Okay, and it is around 4 centimeters long. So this is the structure of the urethra. Okay, this is the structure of the urethra. Okay, now we'll come to the very important part of this particular lesson, that is the micturition. That is what we are calling it as micturition. So now here children, I hope you understood the three things, right? One is the ureters, and second one is the urinary bladder, and third one is the urethra. Okay, so now we'll come into the next topic, which is called as micturition. It is called as micturition. Micturition. So that is the new part which we are going to study here, right? Now micturition, so that is what we are going to study, and we'll understand the word what is micturition all about. So now we'll start from this particular bladder. Right now here, this is the urinary bladder, which is basically storing the urine. Like now you can say that it's a temporary storage because it's not going to be there for permanent. Okay, so it is going to be a temporary storage, and it's only going to be there for a very little time, up to a limited time. So we can make a sentence saying that it is the temporary storage. It's a temporary storage of the urine for some particular time. Okay, and also we have seen that there are two sphincters here. Okay, or you can say two sphincter muscles here. One is the inner muscle and second one is the outer muscle here, right? One is the internal sphincter, second one is the external sphincter. So one is the internal, which is present here, second one is the external sphincter, which is present here. So both of them guard the urine. They will guard the urine. Okay, they will take care of the excretion of the urine. Okay, so now just assume that this is the urinary bladder. This is a urinary bladder, right? So now here already we have seen that this is distensible. This is distensible. In this sense here, they can stretch. Okay, so whenever the ureters are bringing the urine inside, and when the urine starts filling in this ureters and all, what will happen is this particular organ, the urinary bladder will stretch. It will stretch. So when it stretches, what happens is immediately information will be sent in the form of reflex action. Information will be sent in the form of reflex action, and this reflex action, so immediately they will these are the automatic okay, and immediate responses. Okay, these are the automatic and immediate responses. So within no time, as this urine touches this urinary bladder, this bladder will get stretched up, and within no time the information will be sent to the spinal cord. So immediately the information will send to the spinal cord, and spinal cord will immediately give a response to excrete the urine. So what happens is here, because the circulation is not proper, both the internal sphincters, they will contract and they will not allow the urine to come out. So they will guard the urine from coming out of the urinary bladder. So now here the capacity of the urinary bladder is around 600 to 800 ml. 600 to 800 ml. So once this one reaches around 200 ml and all like, so that will stretch, that will come to the urinary bladder's border, and that urinary bladder will stretch and it will give the response to the spinal cord, and spinal cord immediately gives a response, so that these two will be because the situation is not under it's not completely filled, and it is also not under, it is under our control. Immediately this particular two sphincters will constrict and they will come close, so that the urethra is closed for some time, so that the urine will not go out. So that is what is basically done in the beginning. Okay, and then what happens is, then again the urine will start getting filled, and when it reaches up to some extent, immediately the lower one, right, the nerves which are at the lower side, they will take the information directly to the brain, so the brain also now will give a immediate response saying that, okay, fine, if it's a situation to urinate, you can go. Otherwise what happens is, this particular this sphincters will get contracted once again, and they will not be released out. So if the condition is really very severe, and if we have the urge, and also there is a facility of urinating and all, like, then what happens is, these both muscles will relax, and then you can pass the urine. Now the contraction of this particular sphincters in the urinary bladder, like, no, they will not fully perform in the children, the very young children and all, like the babies and all, like, they doesn't know that. So whenever the urinary bladder gets filled up to some extent, and whenever the information goes here, they immediately, what will happen, they will urinate. Even if you are holding them in your hands, they will urinate on your shirts and all. So that's a very immediate response by them. And sometimes, so like some children, they will take a very long time for them to have a control over this urination. So in night times they keep on urinating in the bed, so they will take some time to control this particular urination. So this all happens, and this process here we are calling it as the micturition. Okay, so now what is the capacity of this urinary bladder? It is around 600 to 800 ml. So you can only stop yourself from urination until it reaches the 800 ml. So once it reaches the 800 ml, then now this particular urination will not be under our control, and then it will have a voluntary urination. That means you have to urinate wherever you are. So it is no more under your control. So that is how the micturition will happen. So we will know more and more things about the micturition in the coming session. So until then, see you all. Have a great day. God bless you.